Do you ever feel like you have all of this motivation to get things done, to take action, but you just keep feeling stuck in your business? And then you hear people say, oh, it's not a structural issue, it's a motivation, it's your lack of insight or whatever it is. And you're just like, no, there has to be something wrong with my structure. Well, I'm going to tell you today, there might be. In this sustainable growth series, we are going to be looking at three different aspects that help us grow. And one of them is foundation, because sustainable growth, it doesn't just begin with confidence alone or being excited about something. It requires a strategy and a plan. And not just any strategy, one that actually supports you and the season that you're in. So last week, we talked about why clarity sometimes gets lost when we are running a business. When your strategy, your alignment, and your internal beliefs are out of sync, that's when you start experiencing this friction within your daily life and your work. And within this, you can feel scattered. Sometimes you'll try to pivot. Sometimes you might second guess yourself. And a lot of times, most people assume that this means they need a better mindset, or maybe they're doing the wrong line of work. But I want to tell you this, even when we look at mindset, we need to look at structure too. And that's why we're going to be focusing on the foundation today. So, foundation is your business strategy. It's that underlying structure that everything else rests on. And when that structure is unclear, when it's too complex, or when it's misaligned with your capacity right now, you are going to feel it. Not just intellectually, but emotionally. It will be draining. And when I talk about strategy, I'm not talking about those color-coded planners or a list of goals. What I'm talking about is the positioning of the foundation, who you actually serve, what specific problem you solve. And it also could include your offer structure. So, how people move from discovering you to working with you. It also could include your revenue model. So, how your business actually generates income in a way that fits your life. And it includes whether your plan matches your current capacity or not, because that's a big piece of it. And if any of these pieces are shaky, your clarity, how you perceive and look at your business is going to feel unstable. What I see often as a business coach, especially with multi-passionate professionals, is this complexity. It masquerades strategy. Like we just make things really complex. We have all of these different areas that we're working on, but we lack the strategy and how things move together. So we have more offers, we have more platforms, we have more ideas, and they just kind of layer on top of each other. And over time, that complexity, even though it feels productive, is not. And that is where clarity can get lost, because what we really need to do is simplify things and organize things and build that structure so that we can do those other things. Now, if your strategy requires constant reworking, if it requires constant tweaking, constant fixing, that's not going to feel sustainable in the long run. And if something isn't sustainable, it is going to drain your confidence. It is going to drain your energy, which is why it's so important to focus on that foundation. So, how do you know if your foundation is strong? The first thing that you can ask yourself is it clear? Can you explain what you do, who you serve, who or what that transformation looks like for the individual that you're going to work with? And can you do that in about 2 sentences? How clear are you on what you do and who you help? If you can't, that's not a mindset block. That is something where you're out of sync for what you're doing, right? And that just shows that maybe there's too many things on the plate. So break it down and be more clear about what you do. The second thing that you can look at is it cohesive? So do your offers sound logical, right? Can they build on each other? Is there a clear path from your free content to your paid work? Or does everything feel slightly disconnected, right? So we want to look at, is it cohesive? Does your audience understand how they can get supported by you? And third, which again is related to support, is it supportive? So does your business model match your energy and life capacity right now? If you are constantly exhausted, if you're constantly behind, if you're constantly overextended, your strategy may be outpacing your capacity. And that doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you. It just means that maybe you need to take a step back and lean more into that structure and what aligns with the capacity right now. Because as we build capacity, we can do more, but we have to build that first. Many people believe that they need more discipline, they need more consistency, they need more confidence. And although those are really helpful pieces of it, often what we need is less friction. And less friction is really leaning into what can I handle at this moment so that I can build onto that. And when your strategy is structurally sound, when there's that clear positioning, when there's cohesive offers, when there's that aligned revenue model, confidence, it's going to increase naturally. Not because you're forcing it, but because the plan now makes sense and it feels more aligned with where you're at right now. And here's something important. You can have a clear, cohesive, supportive strategy and still feel resistance. The important thing is that we have to understand different types of resistance. There's resistance of change, and then there's a resistance of the structure not being sound. And so when we're clear, when we're cohesive, when we have that supportive strategy, we're leaning into the resistance of change, which means that we're actually starting to align with where we are going. And so next week, we are going to be talking more about alignment, and we're going to be talking more about our heart work, because sometimes our business makes sense on paper, but it doesn't feel right in our body. And if that's happening, no matter how much structural refinement we have, it's not going to fix it. So if you're unsure whether your foundation is strong, start by reviewing your structure. Ask yourself those questions, or look at those 3 different areas that I shared above or before. So if you're unsure whether your foundation is strong, just start by reviewing your structure. Where is it unclear? Where is it overly complex? Where is it outpacing your energy? You can also explore the free clarity resources below, because they can help you assess your business structure in more of an intentional manner. Or if you want really direct support refining your strategy, you can book a free clarity and strategy call with me, and we will look at your structure as well as some of the barriers that are getting in the way of your structure to help you get started in that journey. Just remember that sustainable growth, it doesn't start with motivation, it starts with structure. So I look forward to seeing you next week when we layer alignment into that structure.